There was an older woman, and she didn't live in a shoe or a gingerbread house, and she had never swallowed a spider. In fact, everything had been going completely fine until she had a birthday and she realised she was old, and being old is bad. So she stopped going out, stopped calling her friends, moved less, and not surprisingly, she became isolated, worried, depressed, came to see me, a geriatrician. And she's not the only person I've seen with this kind of experience. Sometimes it's triggered by a birthday, sometimes a minor injury, sometimes it's just noticing some subtle change in the mirror. And then all of the negative ideas that we have about ageing that sit quietly inside us get activated and turn inwards. Ageism is stereotypes, prejudice and discrimination that we have towards others and ourselves based on age. It's an ism, so it sounds bad, but it's really common, all around us, but mostly not noticed, not questioned and normalised. Why would this woman think that being old is bad? It probably has something to do with all of the messages that we get throughout our lives. All of the birthday cards with the jokes about getting older. All of the advertisements reminding us how to avoid things like the 7 signs of ageing, whatever they're supposed to be, I have no idea. It might be the words that we hear about older people, like geezer, old duck, old fart, boomer. Maybe this lady was discriminated against at work as an older adult. Maybe her doctor put her symptoms down to her age. Maybe she was ignored in the shops in midlife. Maybe she kept hearing things like, "You're probably a bit old for that," and people asking her, "Should you really be doing that at your age?" Maybe all of this started much younger when she was little. All of those childhood bedtime stories about the ugly, wicked, old witches. I'm going to show you something. What do you see when you look at this picture? You probably see a cute kid dressed like an older person. What I see is how widespread and normalised age-based stereotypes can be. There's heaps of photos like this on the internet because it's a bit of a thing for kids to dress up as older people. Some schools encourage students and teachers to dress as 100-year-olds to celebrate the first 100 days of school. And even the very popular, award-winning, televised all around the world children's cartoon show Bluey has episodes where the kid characters dress up as grannies, encouraging real-life children to do the same. I don't think that this is about children's imagination though, because in all of the photos, the kids are like little replicas of one another. And that's because on the internet, you can find the instructions for how to dress up like an older person. There's WikiHows and Pinterest and newspaper articles. Even the Facebook page for Bluey tells us that what you need to play grannies is a shawl, a pair of glasses, a tin of beans, which is random and I don't know why that's there, and a granny voice. You can walk into a store in term 2 and find a very carefully, helpfully curated display of all of the grey wigs, fake pearls, suspenders, plastic canes and inflatable walking frames that you need to make this look. And I don't think that we're all going to dress like Iris Apfel flamboyantly on the cover of magazines when we're older. But we're not all going to look like this, and we're not going to look the same. In this game, older people are so homogenous that you can actually buy a package labelled old man costume. Some of us in our 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s are running businesses and countries and marathons. We are working and caring and doing pretty much every verb that you can think of, living lives that are unique from beginning to end. And you might think, what are you going on about? There's no harm in kids dressing up as older people. Just let them play their dress up. Stop being so woke. But there's a theory by Becca Levy called stereotype embodiment theory that helps to explain how these age-based stereotypes affect all of us. In this theory, we start absorbing age-based stereotypes from the time that we're little children. In fact, kids are really susceptible to absorbing stereotypes. They are literally like sponges. We absorb the stereotype, they form our attitudes, and over time we come to embody. We become the stereotype. And that makes sense because if you believe that older people don't wear jeans, don't have sex, don't exercise, it's very unlikely that when you become that age you're going to be doing those things, like my patient. And if you think that so much of ageing is just inevitable, it's unlikely that you're going to take steps in the lead up to prevent those changes. But there's more to it than that. There's hundreds of studies from around the world that show that our attitudes towards ageing cause effects on our bodies that start in midlife. Those of us with more negative attitudes towards ageing have higher levels of the stress hormone cortisol, higher levels of inflammation, are more likely to have a heart attack as we get older, and have shorter life expectancy. In contrast, when we have more positive views about ageing, we're less likely to get dementia, even if we've got risk factors for it. We'll perform better on tasks, recover more quickly from illness and injury, and live longer by up to 7.5 years. That's 7.5 extra years of life just because of having positive attitudes about ageing. What's really interesting is that our attitudes towards ageing aren't fixed. If we're shown more positive representations of ageing, we get more positive attitudes and we come to have longer, healthier lives. There's 3 things that have been shown to reduce ageism. The first is laws and policies that reduce age discrimination. The second is education. And the third thing is intergenerational contact. That's where older people and younger people spend time together. It's very simple. So rather than children dressing up as grannies, they could spend time with their grandparents. Rather than dressing up as 100-year-olds, they could meet some 100-year-olds. We don't have to accept or perpetuate these messages that we get about ageing. What if, rather than telling kids how to dress up as older people, we allow them to be free to imagine their future selves just as freely as they imagine anything else? What if we did the same for ourselves? What would life be like if we didn't stereotype older age at all? What if we start telling different stories about ageing? There was an older woman, and she didn't live in a shoe or a gingerbread house, and she had never swallowed a spider or a fly, not even once. One day she had a birthday. Happy birthday! And she realised she was old. And that was whatever she wanted it to be. Thank you.